Hello guys, and welcome. It is ThatSrb2DUDE here today, bringing you yet another Splatoon 2 video. Today's video is going to be very interesting for a lot of you guys who do struggle with making that perfect gear build that you've always dreamed of. But with this video, it's going to explain what kind of things that you should be looking to make that perfect gear build and how you can do this for pretty much every single weapon in the entire game. Now, personally for me, I've had a lot of experience with playing pretty much all kinds of weapons in this game, and I have a pretty decent idea of knowing what types of perks that you should be using in a majority of weapons in this game. So without further ado, let's get into it because there's a lot of information to get down. So get your notebooks out. How do we start? Where do we start? So personally for me, how I start things. So first of all, I start off with putting this on, ink resistance. I also start with putting bomb defense on. Also put this perk on, ink recovery, and of course, quick super jump. This is how you guys want to start. Now, I'm going to explain the reasons for why you put each of these single perks on. You don't have to have loads of these perks, you just have to have at least one. And you can pretty much do this for pretty much every single weapon in the game because these 5 perks do so much for just being a single perk, and I'm going to explain. So starting off with ink resistance. Why do you put ink resistance on? So if we were to take it off real quick, as you can see, the run speed within enemy ink is pretty slow. But if you put on one sub on, it changes it by almost 40%. It does 39.9%, or 39.3% I should say, but almost 40%, which is super helpful. Very, very helpful. It's something that you really need to know. So you're going to be running through ink much faster. If we scroll down though, as you can see here, ink resistance effects. It does quite a lot for the ink resistance effects. So let me just take this off real quick. As you can see, ink resistance effects, invulnerability timer, damage per second, damage limit, and jump height. The main things that you should be looking at is the invulnerability time and the damage per second. Putting the ink resistance back on, you actually get an invulnerability time. So what does this actually mean? What is the invulnerability time? So if you don't have any ink resistance on, it's, as you saw, it was 0. But if you put ink resistance on, 0.166. What this basically means, if you touch enemy ink by a little bit, just a little bit, you're going to take some damage or continue to, well, basically gradually start taking damage. Which can be very annoying, very, very annoying. Let's just talk about maybe some little spurts of ink. There was like some little lines of ink and you're just trying to swim through them. Basically, what's going to happen is that you're going to take little bits of damage and that's not going to be helpful for you. What this is going to counter is certain weapons like this beast, if I can find it. This beast, you all know this, main power-up Splattershot Pro, doing 49.9 damage. So this invulnerability timer is going to save you from getting 2-shot from this beast. Why? It's because when the Splattershot Pro hits you at least once, 49.9 damage is going to inflict you. You're also going to take suppression and you're going to be stuck within the Splattershot Pro's ink that it's shot at you, which means the invulnerability time is going to go up straight away since you're already starting to touch enemy ink. This means the second shot from the Kensa Splattershot Pro with main power-up is going to kill you, mainly because you've already taken damage straight away because you weren't running ink resistance. So that 2-shot will basically be non-existent if you have an ink resistant chunk or sub, whatever you want to call it. And if you really want, you can put some more on because this is also going to have some significant effects when you're dealing with different types of weapons like this. Let's point out another beast. In the charges category, the Bamboozler. You already know the Bamboozler. A full charge shot with main power up on, 99.9 damage. Ridiculous. So that would mean if you touched enemy ink by just a little bit, just if you swam through some little bit of enemy ink, you're going to get one shot by this thing all the time. That's just so you know. And the thing is, by not having ink resistance even in general, that damage is going to add up. So if you're swimming through little bits of ink pretty much all the time, you're going to take quite a lot of damage. Like it says 18 damage per second. Just so you know, this is not in spurts. So if you're swimming in ink for like half a second, you're going to take 9 damage, I believe. It's a thing where damage continuously inflicts you if you're just touching ink in general. So put your ink resistance sub on because it's going to save your life by a huge ton. Now, another thing that's going to save your life is bomb defense. Now, why is bomb defense going to save you guys' lives by a huge ton? So we need to open up the bomb damage effects as we see here. Now, if we're not running, you see the original values from this. But the thing is, if we were to put on the bomb defense, as you can see, little parts of damage is actually reduced, which can be very, very helpful. I mean, at this point, it's only like 2 to 1 to maybe even 3 damage taken off. But the thing is, there's a lot of things that you need to take into account. What if maybe you're facing a Splatter Shot Junior? Maybe the Splatter Shot Junior throws 2 bombs at you and they inflict 28.6 damage, which would mean you ain't taking 60 damage anymore. You'd be taking about around 57 something damage. Another thing you kind of need to look into is that it also coincides with things that like are shooting at you in general. Basically enemy team's main weapons. Obviously, not every single weapon may be just be inflicting 70 damage or 60 damage, whatever. You also got to take into account that in Splatoon, fall off damage is a thing that happens pretty much all the time. Fall off damage, if you guys didn't know, is basically non-direct hits with a certain weapon. So if we were to look at like a splatter shot, for example, a splatter shot would do 35 damage directly, but if it gets fall off damage, it might do 20 or 28 or 27. The damage varies by a huge ton. So this is things that we should be taking into account. What if you are inflicted by 70 something damage? That means from an auto bomb, curling bomb, splat bomb, and suction bomb, you're going to survive that far away bomb that was around you. So that can be very helpful. Maybe you've taken about 65 damage or somewhere around 30, whichever. Basically, if you look at these values right here, it basically means you're going to survive a bunch of more bombs. And just try it for yourselves. If you put 1 sub of bomb defense, just try it in a game. You'll definitely start noticing that far away bombs are probably going to do a whole lot less damage to you, which is super helpful for you guys to know that. We're just going to go into the next one though, special damage, because bomb defense also helps in that, funny enough. Just to take this off and prove to you that it does, as you can see, look at that. Those are the original values of that. But if we were to put the bomb defense sub on, as you can see here, now I think the things to take into account is inkjet and tenta missiles. Now the near inkjet shot and tenta missile shot, this turns all of that into at least a 3-shot kill. So you can survive tenta missiles so much easier, and that's super big for you to actually survive that, especially if they're very close to you. A lot of reasons for why you want to put bomb defense and of course ink resistance. These 2 perks are very, very helpful. In some cases, maybe you even want to put on 2 subs of this same perk. I mean, it just depends, because as you can see, the values go down even more, especially for bombs as well. I mean, a direct burst bomb, 4.5 damage less, which can be super helpful. And damage values here, definitely going to be also changed too. So super helpful stuff and really nice to know. Now let's move on to ink recovery, which can be another super very helpful perk. These are the standard values for ink recovery when you're not wearing any of it. But if we were to put on some ink recovery, in Squid form, you get a 3.4% increase, and in Kid form, which is probably the most important one and the one we really look at the majority of the time, it's a 6.1% increase. Now, the number of values here, as you see, they don't look like they changed that much, but within the game, you are definitely going to notice this. The ink recovery, why you would run the ink recovery in most scenarios, it's mainly for weapons that guzzle ink and are more susceptible for actually getting the message of low ink tank or we have an empty ink tank. This is going to help you guys a bunch to avoid that a huge ton. Just to show you, putting on maybe like 2 subs of ink recovery, which I don't think you should have any more than that. I mean, in some cases maybe you would, especially if it's like a Kensa undercover brother, which used to use a huge ton of that. As you can see, it's almost a 12% increase while you're just in Kid form. That's not even when you're in Squid form. You're getting a 12% increase of recovering ink when you're in Kid form. And that's just huge. That's huge when you're just standing around and recovering it. Now again, I really want you guys to look at the numbers. don't feel turned off from it just because the numbers seem like a really low number. Because the thing is, when you are playing Splatoon, the numbers are going to add up every single time you're just moving around and sitting in ink. Like, you're going to notice that you're going to have a significantly huge amount of ink, or huge amount more of ink, I should say, in general when you're playing. So it may seem like a little, but it really does a lot. So that's just to explain that. Weapons that you might find this on, maybe like the custom dually squelcher, is very, very known for guzzling ink by a huge ton. So custom dually squelcher or dually squelcher. Some other weapons like the Kensa Splattershot Pro again, that might be another one. The 96 Gal. I think another helpful one, charges is general, because of course you need ink to be able to actually do anything with charges. So, you know, charges, ink recovery, super helpful. It gives you more time to actually recover ink, and of course you're probably going to spend probably the most amount of time standing around and also chilling within your ink too. So things like that, and blasters too. Pretty much every single blaster in this game runs out of ink pretty fast. So blasters as well, pretty much everything, especially the range blaster, rapid blasters as well. Ink recovery is going to be a massive help for all those kinds of weapons. Next, we should move on to Special Saver. Now, just to take off Special Saver, if you have a full special tank or special points tank, whichever you want to call it, special meter, if you die, you basically recover 50% of that. But just by having one sub, it's actually a ridiculous amount. You get about 9% special points saved, which is very, very close to a 10% increase. I mean, I'm just going to round it up. It's basically a 10% save of your special meter. It's kind of ridiculous that Special Saver actually does save that amount of your special if you do die. What kind of weapons you would probably use it on? It's probably weapons that you're mainly playing for the special. So, I mean, the first thing I can think of is probably like the Splattershot Junior. Why? Of course, like this Splattershot Junior, you usually just run around, paint around, and you're just going for the armor the majority of the time, because, you know, that's what you do with the Splattershot Junior. You go for the armor. There's some other cases, maybe I would say the Splattershot Tentatek, mainly because this is the type of weapon that doesn't exactly get its special too much, because it has a pretty high special meter, 210, which is fairly high, and it's also the kind of weapon that also dies quite a bit. So a lot of the times you might not even get your inkjet in some games because it feels like you're dying too quickly, or if you're not playing passive enough, you might not get your inkjet. So if you die a lot, Special Saver will allow you to actually get your inkjet much more often. So that's definitely super helpful. Another weapon that I can think of, maybe like Slosher Deco, just off the top of my head, Slosher Deco. Another type of weapon, 210 special points. This is the type of weapon that also dies quite a bit. You know, Special Saver can be very, very helpful with this. Anything with Stingray, charges with Stingray, 220. Very, very helpful, especially in tower control, Rainmaker, where Stingray can be very helpful for your defenses. And if it's a case where you do die in a dire situation, at least you'll be 10% closer to your Stingray after death when you're coming back in. So, you know, it's really, really good to have some sort of Special Saver on weapons like that, because it's going to save the game. And lastly, let's talk about the last single perk, Quick Super Jump. I'm pretty sure majority of you guys already know about the powers and amazingness that is Quick Super Jump. Now, as you can see, original values of Quick Super Jump. Put one sub of Quick Super Jump, boom. You come back into the game 10% faster, whether you're in a Squid form or Kid form. It's actually kind of ridiculous. What weapons should you be using this one? Honestly, every single one of them. I don't even know why you wouldn't be playing this game without Quick Super Jump, because if you do die, or if you're trying to jump to somewhere, you're jumping back into the game 10% faster. And of course, you're going to notice that. The main reason for this is because when you put Quick Super Jump on, it basically gets rid of the large buffer time when you're actually jumping if you didn't have any Quick Super Jump. So having one sub is very, very helpful. And if you're using Stealth Jump, it's honestly a thing where you need it. You definitely need Quick Super Jump, because it will do huge amounts for you, and it'll get you back in the game way faster than ever. So now that I've explained what these 5 subs actually do for you guys, it's now actually time to actually go ahead and start making some builds. So let's start with the splatter shot, because you can do a huge amount of stuff with the splatter shot. So for your average splatter shot, maybe you're going to put some quicker spawn on, maybe you're going to put some main power up on to make it accurate, and maybe you may want to put a little bit of speed on. Okay, so we've got the splatter shot build done and ready. This is basically the stuff that you might want to do with a splatter shot. Now let's look at the 5 perks that we have. So ink resistance, that helps a ton with splatter shot because it's going to be walking into ink a lot. Bomb defense, period, it's going to save your life a bunch against a bunch of bombs, so we're probably going to keep that on. Ink recovery, we probably don't need ink recovery that much, honestly, because the splatter shot is a really efficient weapon, and actually from the recent buff, it's actually even more efficient. So if I can just get rid of that, we don't need the ink recovery anymore. So if we come into situations like this where maybe we don't need, well, we have basically a spare slot, what we could do is we could add another ink resistance if we really wanted to. We can add another one because we can. It's going to make the ink resistance even stronger. As you see from the values here, you're going to survive against those main power-up devils a huge amount more. So, you know, that's going to help you live and help you survive. If you didn't want that, you could also do bomb defense as well. Let me just put that there. You could have bomb defense as well, if I can actually put it. Thank you. My mouse is double clicking. Oh, okay. There we go. It took a little bit, but now we got the bomb defense there. My mouse is kind of double clicking, but yeah, we could have the bomb defense there if we didn't really want that. If we really wanted to experiment too, we can like maybe take a quick response sub off, and we can maybe add another ink resistance if we really wanted to. So, you know, now we have the double bomb defense, double ink resistance, and we're just going to be always happy. Maybe we can change some things up. Like maybe we're gonna make let's make a Kensa splatter shot build, like straight away. Kensa splatter shot build. Okay. You could do the quick respawn thing if you really wanted to as well. Maybe we want Ninja Squid. If we're gonna put Ninja Squid, maybe we don't need the quick respawn because it's probably less likely to die now. So maybe we can do a bunch of other things. I'll start off with the main power up, just so I'm powerful. If I'm using Ninja Squid, I'm gonna need to get some speed up, so I'll put about that amount, and then now we have 2 extra slots too. Considering we're a Kensa splatter shot, we probably don't need the special saver anymore because the Kensa splatter shot gets special pretty fast. You don't really play this weapon for the special too, so that's probably not going to be so necessary. We can now put the ink resistance, the bomb defense again. Maybe we just want to be a little bit faster, so we just put that on. There we go. We have another build that we've made. That can be super helpful. That could be a really nice Kensa splatter shot build if you really wanted to. So there you go again. Let's actually do something else. Maybe when you want to go with comeback, maybe we could do something like this. Yeah, we could have a build like this. Minimum of main power that you'd ever want on this weapon is 2 subs. So, you know, this is some sort of build. Of course, you got the swim speed, you got the ninja that will help the Ninja Squid, you have the comeback that will give you efficiency all around. It's not necessary, but it also gives you some speed as well and special charge as well if you do die. So, and it also works well with the stealth jump. So, you know, all of this can also work really well. So let's move on to maybe something very popular, the Kensa Splatter Shot Pro. As you already know, you put a bunch of main power up on, but I'm going to first put on my 5 subs of things that I always would want. And where's the last one? Bomb defense. And then I'm going to apply all my main power up on. Since you probably already know, putting a bunch of main power up on this weapon is the way to go. Now to think about things. Now, bomb defense is going to save my life. Ink resistance is going to save my life. Quick super jump, of course, I'm going to need it. Special saver. Now, this weapon doesn't paint that well and doesn't paint too well to actually get its special. So it's kind of a debatable thing where you can have special saver, but you don't exactly need it. So maybe you don't need it, and then maybe you want to put on another ink recovery sub because this is a very ink efficient weapon. So the ink recovery is going to definitely help with that, and just like that, we've made another build and it's just perfectly fine. It works and it makes sense and all that type of stuff. So moving on to Splatter Shot Junior, take all of this off again, and we're just going to stick with all of this stuff. So moving on to Special Junior. So when I think Special Junior, I think I want a bomb spam. I want to have special spam at the same time. So I'm going to put stuff like this. And honestly, I can have now I have an extra perk. So I have the special spam, I have the bomb spam. Maybe I could add another one of these if I really wanted to, but all in all, I think that all just makes sense. I mean, actually, I could swap this and to put this. I could swap the ink saver sub on and put the ink recovery sub, so that could work. You know, now you have a pretty decent or really good Special Junior build if you wanted to make something like that. So that's just another example right there. Let's move on to like a backliner, because we've done Slayer, we've done like midliner Slayer something, and let's move on to a backliner. Let's use like Ballpoint, since that's pretty popular. So let me actually use the Nouvelle one. We are going to put the run speed on because we want to run fast as our Ballpoint. You can kind of play around with the Ballpoint, maybe 3. Actually, that's probably enough run speed. You can chill with that. But we got our 5 perks. They all still make sense. Ballpoint takes a huge amount of time to actually get special, but do we really need the special saver? This is the type of weapon that's probably not going to die too much, so maybe we take that away because we can feel confident that we're probably not going to die. All of this is probably going to save your life. I'm probably going to put an ink recovery sub because the Ballpoint does guzzle quite fast, so ink recovery is going to help. And it's also a thing where you're probably going to run around with this weapon quite a lot, so the ink recovery probably makes a lot of sense doing that. But we could also do some other things. This is a weapon that's probably going to run in ink quite a lot, so we're going to put some ink resistance on. And we still have space for a main perk, so we can do quite a lot still. Like, we have a lot of space. Like, I mean, if we really wanted to, we could put more run speed, but I mean, diminishing returns will come into effect eventually. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you want your cloud faster. I mean, it gets like 18 points away from the Ballpoint Nouvelle, so well, maybe the special charge will actually help 202. You know, it's a much faster way to actually get your cloud if you are really wanting to play with it. So you could make something like this. Like, you don't need the special charge, but I think it actually would helpful and be beneficial in some way. So this can be another build that you might want to run at the same time. So if you guys didn't notice what I was doing, I was basically building around the 5 perks that I had, because mainly these 5 perks do so much for you in general. Now, of course, there's cases where you don't exactly need to have all of them, but majority of the time, these are going to do a huge ton for you. Of course, you have swim speed and main power up that do all kinds of different things and quick respawn. But the value of these 5 perks that are just 1 sub perks, they do so much. So it's just really valuable to actually have them within most of your gear builds. And it's probably why most top players that you see these days always have some sort of variation of these perks within their builds, because in general they do so much. Of course, you don't exactly have to have all of them. Like, in some cases you might need the special saver because you're not playing for the special, or you're not trying to save the special because you're going to die a lot. Some cases you might not need the ink recovery because you're using a really efficient weapon and you're most likely not going to recover. Maybe you're using it just to throw and spam bombs, because that can be also really helpful. Like in a weapon like the H3 Nozzle Nose, that's also super helpful because the weapon itself is very efficient, but you use that to actually be able to spam bombs and recover bombs even faster. So, you know, things like that can be also really helpful if you're not, of course, using the main power-up build for it. I mean, you can just use a bunch of main power-up too. That's probably, it's gonna be the exact same as the Splash Shot Pro build because you're trying to get it to 49.9 damage at the same time. So, you know, this could be something that you run as well. Same thing. And also you might want to keep the special saver as well, because you're trying to save the special, and if you ever do die with this weapon, since you can be a little bit more aggressive with it, it's definitely going to help you in that case. So the thing I want you guys to go ahead and take away from this video is, why are you putting certain perk on? Because I know there's a bunch of people out there, and also a bunch of people ask me, why not just go ahead and just use pures, because pures are good, right? I'm sorry, but these people are very misinformed. Pures in this game, they're just not as helpful. Let's just say we had a build like this. I mean, the thing about it is that it's not the worst thing as well, but the thing is, you're only like really accounting for just a few things instead of a lot of things. With the 5 subs that I mentioned, you're accounting for a huge ton of things. Like, first of all, ink resistance. You're accounting for the main power-up devils. Quick super jump. You're accounting for being able to jump into the game fasting. Special saver. You're accounting for saving about 10% of your special meter. Bomb defense, you're accounting for every single bomb in the game and special in the game. Also, another thing to note with bomb defense, it's not even labeled here, but bubble blower. If you ever notice why you die from a bubble blower from a really far distance, it's probably because you're not wearing a bomb defense sub, because that actually saves you, and it's not noted on the website unfortunately, but just so you know, that saves you. Ink recovery, just your general usage of using your weapon and ink tank, that's going to save you. It's going to allow you to shoot more and basically never be able to run out of ink all the time. So you're basically accounting for 5 things instead of just using a pure that's going to account for 3 things. As you got these 5 things accounted for, now you can account for, okay, maybe I want some special charge. Maybe I want some main power up because I need to increase the accuracy or increase the radius or some sort of damage. So you have all of these things that can be super useful for you to be able to allow you guys to make a decent gear build and basically take some thought into actually making a decent gear build, because, you know, things like this is going to save you. Having a wide variety of things like this is going to save you, because it's going to allow you to just do a lot more things in general instead of just doing, oh, I have 3 pures, I can only now really account for 3 things and all that type of stuff. Now, I just need to account for one thing, is that no gear in this game is perfect. Like, I understand that no gear is perfect, but of course you want to be able to optimize your gear build as much as you possibly can. So, you know, here I am to try and help you to do that, and here's the information for you to be able to do that. Like, just having things like this can really save a guy. You know, this is gonna be the full video. I hope you guys have taken a good amount of information for this, and I hope I explained it enough for you so you guys understood all this type of stuff. Like, use this website to go ahead and play around with it. This is definitely going to help you if you're struggling to make a decent gear build. So I really do hope that this video was informative to you and it does help you in some certain way. So thank you guys very much for watching. I've been talking for like 50 minutes, so I really do hope you appreciate this video. Make sure you give it a like, because it's going to, you know, it helps my channel a huge bunch and gets my messages out there. So thank you very much if you do that. And subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter in the description below to go ahead and follow what I do. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. Make sure to hit the bell notification button to be informed with whichever other weapon, or not weapon, other video I make, because I do that on this channel pretty much every 2 days. And also consider joining my public Discord if you want to go ahead and talk to me. You can talk to me about stuff like this if you really want, if you're really confused and all that type of stuff. So either way, all of that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much, everyone, and I shall see you guys in a future video.